The drone ship phenomenon struck me as rather odd. It is quite possible a hoax, but it brings up some interesting ideas about written language functioning as magical sigils, as well as having an elaborate technical purpose. When Isaac came out on Coast to Coast that he worked on this top-secret alien linguistic system, which could be utilized in anti-gravity and cloaking technology, it lended quite a bit more credibility, at least for me, and led me to take a look at some of our own written text with a much more scrutinizing lens. The following is an excerpt from Isaac's disclosure letter, his analysis of working with the alien text in the CARAT program in Northern California. The language is actually a functional blueprint. The forms of the shapes, symbols, and arrangements thereof is itself functional. What makes it all especially difficult to grasp is that every element of each diagram is dependent on and related to every other element, which means no single detail can be created, removed, or modified independently. Humans like written language because each element of the language can be understood on its own, and from this complex expressions can be built. However, their language is entirely context-sensitive, which means that a given symbol could mean as little as a one-bit flag in one context, or quite literally contain the entire human genome or a galaxy star map in the other. Their technology, however, somehow merges the symbol and the meaning, so a subjective audience is not needed. You can put whatever meaning you want on the symbols, but their behavior and functionality will not change any more than a transistor would function differently if you gave it another name. In a language with an infinite amount of letters and symbols, each addition making all other correlate to each other differently, provides a construct more difficult to read than our fastest supercomputers are capable of. The Voynich manuscript is another document written in alien text which describes the Tree of Life in great detail. It has never been officially translated, but there have been a number of attemptees. Many believe it discusses the nature of life coming into existence in a vacuum, DNA from stardust, and micro-wormholes where life springs from the most inhospitable of environments. Truly the nature of creation. My cosmic eye can linguistically guide the cogs and spirals of time, and this the greatest adventure in the universe. Beyond the ether of the spiral, our destiny's arrival. We bend the parabola with our conscious life survival. I do not see coincidence, I see purpose. The Meru Project has discovered an extraordinary and unexpected geometric metaphor in the letter sequence of the Hebrew text of Genesis that underlies and is held in common by the spiritual traditions of the ancient world. This metaphor models embryonic growth and self-organization. It applies to whole systems, including those as seemingly diverse as meditational practices and the mathematics fundamental to physics and cosmology. Meru Project findings demonstrate that the relationship between physical theory and consciousness expressed in explicit geometric metaphor was understood and developed several thousand years ago. very fact that such elaborate patterns in geometry can be gleaned from the Torah thousands of years before the first computer was invented to recognize them is one of the most intriguing mysteries in the history of man. It implies unbelievable intelligence and amorphic consciousness interference, as an alien creator race hands down the tablets of the very nature of existence. Sigils, servitors, and god forms are three magical techniques that chaos magicians use to actualize magical intentions. Sigils are magical spells developed and activated to achieve a specific, fairly well-defined, and often limited end. Servitors are entities created by a magician and charged with certain functions. God forms are complex belief structures often held by a number of people with which a magician interacts in order to actualize fairly broad magical intentions. These three techniques are not quite as distinct as these definitions would suggest. They tend to blur into one another. Baseball was obviously created by Freemasons, as it bears the unmistakable marks of geometry. The field from home plate to the left and right field wall forms a compass. The entire outfield wall is a semicircle which this compass draws. Upside down, overlapping this compass, the bases form the square. Thus, the baseball field is an emblem of Freemasonry. 3 strikes and 3 outs were assigned because 3 is the principal sacred number of Freemasonry. 4 is a number of significance because it represents a square, the shape, and deals with the 4 directions, thus 4 balls, 4 bases. 9 is sacred because it is 3 square, etc. Here is one of the most extraordinary examples of sigil casting and population charging to achieve a magical event. To my knowledge, this is the largest scalular magical ritual ever conceived and carried out successfully. If the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear to man as it truly is, infinite.